Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Fig Friday here at the Turnbuckle Tavern. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite lines out of any wrestling figure ever. And before we get into that, make sure you guys click on the link in the description below. Subscribe to the YouTube page. The link will take you to our Twitter, Instagram, Pro Wrestling Tees store, and the podcast where you can rate, subscribe, and review to that. If you click the bell up in the corner, that will give you notifications when we come back at you with new videos. But let's go ahead and get straight into it. Today, we're going to be talking about WCW's Galoob line of figures. And this line of figures was released in 1990, the first wave. And they at first were released only to Kmart stores. Then they later were released to Toys R Us, Walmart's, most other major retailers. I'm not going to talk to you about the entire line. I'm not going to break that down. What I am going to talk to you about is my favorite little variant out of this entire line of figures. So the line consisted of 12 figures, and it was Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Barry Windham, Sid Vicious, Sting, Luger, Ron Simmons, Butch Reed, Rick and Scott Steiner, Flying Brian, Pillman, and the Z-Man. But the first 6 figures that they released had a card variant that not a lot of people either know about or talk about. You don't really hear about it a whole lot. So it was kind of a quest of mine once I found out that these cards existed, because for a long time I thought they were just a myth. And then I joined a group on Facebook. It was a wrestling figure group called Hasbro's. And I didn't think I'd find much Galoob love in there, but that is where I found the information about this line. So it was true. The first 6 figures had a variant. So what I brought out just to show you what the cards look like normally. And this is a normal released Flying Brian Pillman. And in the corner here, you can see where it says, presents the superstars of WCW. Well, the first 6 figures released, which was Rick and Scott Steiner, Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, Sting, and Lex Luger, they had a packaging variant where at the bottom, and it's very subtle, but instead of present superstars of the WCW, it says present superstars of the NWA. And this was just done on the initial run of these first 6 figures. It wasn't done for very long. And from what I understand, and this may not be true, but during the time that they got the deal for the figures, WCW had completed its purchase of NWA. And the first initial run of figures, they were still, I guess, signed to NWA. So that was added to the card. And then when WCW took over fully, they put WCW on the card. That may not be true. My information may be wrong, but that's what I've always heard about the line. So once I found out about it, I saw somebody post in that group that they had gotten NWA cards. And I was kind of shocked because I'd only ever heard of them. I kind of thought they were a myth. So I contacted this person. We started talking, and he helped me acquire my first 2. And the first 2 that I got, it was Sting and Lex Luger. And I have to give a shout out to Matthew Barber of Barbershop Toys for helping me do that. But I have finally completed my NWA card collection, and I'm going to show that to you here. So this is the Lex Luger. The Lex Luger, it has the NWA here in the bottom corner. And these are all great cards, by the way, and in great shape. And I appreciate him helping me do that. And then here is the Sting. And to me, this Sting is probably the most iconic figure from my childhood. And you know, there are Hasbro's, the Hulk Hogan Hasbro, whatever. But as a kid growing up in West Virginia, we got a lot of WCW. All of our house shows, for the most part, were WCW. And to have this as a kid, this was the first figure that I was super pumped up to get. And there you see in the corner there, presents superstars of the NWA. Here is the Ric Flair version, as you can see. And here is Rick Steiner. You can see the NWA packaging there. It's a beautiful card. And then you can see Double A, the Enforcer, Arn Anderson. And this card, this figure actually has another little thing with it too. This the first initial run of Arn Anderson figures had a bald spot on his head, and that's kind of a sought after figure, you know, loose or on card, just to have that bald spot. But this one also, you can always tell if you find an NWA Arn Anderson, most of the time, I believe all the time, it's going to be the bald spot Arn Anderson. And then here was the absolute hardest figure to find out of the NWA variants, and it's Scott Steiner. And my kind of OCD, this is, I call this the placeholder, and I love that I have an on-card NWA Scott Steiner in my collection, but the quest to upgrade him is still in progress. It is the NWA card, but as you can see, the card has some flaws. There's a little tear up there, and the bubble's a little yellow. And I know some people may say that's a little, you know, maybe petty, but maybe, you know, whatever. But all of my other NWA cards are in pristine condition, and I want Scott to be that way as well. But if I never get it, because it took me 2.5 years to track down an on-card Scott, and that's the one that I found. So if I never find another Scott Steiner, that's fine. I will love this one just the same. It is just as special to me to be able to say that I have all 6 of the NWA card variants. And like I said, for whatever reason, not a lot of people talk about those, but it is my favorite aspect of the Galoob line. There's a lot of stuff with Galoob that I will cover eventually, but I wanted to start off with the NWA variant of that, and that's my favorite part of that line. So that's going to wrap us up for this edition of Fig Friday. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube page and leave a comment with what your favorite figure is, and maybe we'll cover it one week. I always like to know what people's, you know, holy grail pieces are, their grail pieces, their centerpieces of their collection. So leave a comment in the section below. Let's talk figures, and we'll be back with you with more videos soon. You guys have a good weekend.